Okay, are you back? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I hope you can. My volume's up. Have I got sound? Oh, come on. Are we back? Well, I hope we are. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, hey, yes, you hear me. Hooray. Now we'll just wait for everybody else to find us. Hi, Sherlock, you found me, and we can hear. Yay! Hi, Colleen. You're listening. Good lass. I knew you'd try. Had a few problems, Colleen, with me volume, but it's back now. So we'll just wait for a couple more minutes to make sure everybody else gets back in. I'm not going to touch my thing anymore. So hopefully now bot will work. Hi, Linda. I'm in the UK. And Lynn's in the UK, and everybody else is way across the pond. I don't know that Nightbot's working still. Okay, so I'm going to go over what we're going to look at today. I've been having a think on doing a live every Friday. And hi, Patty. And there are going to be a couple of Fridays this month that I can't do. One is next Friday because I'm going to a quilt show, and the other one is on the 27th because I've got a family funeral. So what I'm planning is to do an FPP sew along where you're going to get a block. So even though I won't be around for a live, I can still put the video up on how to make that block for that week. So this week we're going to do the lantern, and I put all the instructions in a previous link, and yesterday I put up all the little cutting instructions for your pieces of fabric that you need. So I hope you found those okay. And what I'm planning is to do a Japanese style quilt top. This will be the last block that we do because it's quite complicated. This is obviously an easy one. This is an easy one. That's fairly easy. This one is a little bit harder because it's more pieces, but it's not difficult. And then I've looked at today, I've sorted out Japanese clogs, which I thought we could do, and making it a Japanese style sew along quilt. Now mine has got four of one and three of another, but they alternate the rows between the kimono blocks and the pattern pieces. So the actual, I'm going to do two rows of each. One will have 4 kimono and 3 of the pattern. So the other row will have 3 of the pattern and 1 of the, and 4 of the pattern and 1 and 3 of the kimono. So you can alternate, and there will be 8 rows of 7. Each block is 6.5 inches, and then I'm thinking about a border for going round, maybe a fan, Japanese fan, to go around the outside of it as a border. But I haven't got that far into it yet to decide whether that's what I'm going to do. Hi, Kim. It's good to see you. And please excuse this tickly cough, because I've had it now for 10 days and it's driving me nuts. So we're going to do this 3 ways. If you've never done FPP before, the easiest way is to sew through your paper. So there's my first piece, and I've just stuck it onto the back using some Elmer glue, and it's folded it back on the line and trimmed the fabric to 1/4 inch. And then the background piece, which is the first piece we're going to add, gets put, because it's a white and it's just a plain on plain, it doesn't matter. And so you're going to put it there, you're going to bring your paper back up, and you're going to stitch along this line between 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3. Doesn't matter, you can do 1 and 3 and then 1 and 2. It doesn't really matter which way you do it on these pieces. It does on the others, but this one it doesn't matter. So we're going to turn my machine on, and we're going to do that quickly and do 1 and 2, and then we're going to trim them down, and then we'll work on part B. So if you want to sew along, please feel free. If not, chat amongst yourselves while I sew. It won't take many minutes. I hope to get 2 blocks done in an hour. So there's my first piece, and as you can see, stitched on the line. Press the piece back. If you have your iron handy at the side of you, or if you've got one of those little clover rollers, I have one somewhere, but like everything else, it's disappeared. And just give those pieces a quick press back. And there you've got the first piece A is done. You're now going to just trim your pieces down to the edge of your fabric, which is 1/4 inch, and that will be piece A finished. So quick. Well, it would be if my rotary cutter decided to work, because it's just, I'm not having much luck with rotary cutters at the moment. Yeah, I've got this cough driving me crackers. I was awake again for about 4 hours last night. It's just... So, there's the first piece, done and trimmed, so that can just go to the side. Now, piece B has got more pieces to it, as you can see. It's got quite a few. Now, I've already stuck the first one and trimmed down to 1/4 inch all the way round. Now, angles. If you look, there's an angle there on B2. Hold it with your fabric, because this is the right side of the fabric. So take your piece of your that covers that. To get the correct angle, you can just see the shade of where that blue is underneath. Just cut about 1/4 of an inch away from that line on that piece, and you'll have the right angle for what you need. Okay, so like that. Now, when you come to sew it, you've got to flip it down, because that's going to get the angle correct when you fold it back up. So you're going to stitch now along that line on the paper. Now, I don't do this way of paper piecing, mainly because I have arthritis in my fingers, and when I have to rip all that paper out afterwards, it really affects my hands. So the next way I'm going to show you to do on the second one will be where you don't sew through the paper, which is the way I do it. But this one, just because it's the easiest way to show you how to do it if you've never done foundation paper piecing before, is so that you can see how to do it, okay? Right, so I've put 2 and 3 on. Fold it back, give it a bit of a press. Right, now you can see here that piece is not quite up to the edge of the paper. I haven't moved it up high enough. I will actually take this one out, but I normally wouldn't if I'm sewing through paper, because it's a pain and your paper will rip. You always need to shorten your stitch length when you're sewing through the paper as well. I didn't on this, so it's ripped out quite easily. Okay, so that's press back. This one here, it's got a bit of a gap on the white where the paper is, but it's in the seam allowance. I'm not worried. I'm not going to bother with it. Doesn't matter. It'll get taken up in a seam allowance. It's not a worry. Right, now the next one is we're folding between line 1 and line 4. Fold your paper back and trim to 1/4 of an inch. If you've got an add a quarter ruler, it's ideal, because it does lock onto your ruler on that lip. If you haven't, use a normal ruler, and it's just a case of adding that 1/4 inch on your. There you go. See, so you can do it with it. You don't need an add a quarter ruler. So the next piece I'm using is going to be, what colour is it? This pink. I have given you plenty of fabric in those cutting instructions to make sure that you've got plenty. So you're now going to fold your paper between 4 and 5 and trim to 1/4 of an inch. So you're getting rid of quite a lot of that pink. There is quite a bit of waste with foundation paper piecing, but I don't mind too much because I quite like the accuracy of it all. Hope my wonderful mods are watching the chat because I haven't looked. So if I just take a second, if you want to ask a question on anything before we carry on, I'll just have a quick minute before we add the next piece. There is it trimmed, and the next piece is going to be my blue again. Yeah, I think I got mine off Amazon as well, Melissa. I had a 1/4 ruler. And they come in 2 sizes. They come in a 6-inch and they come in a 12-inch one. To be honest, I prefer using the 12-inch one because you've got more. You could put more weight behind it than with the 6-inch one. I thought I should have had another piece of blue. It fell on the floor. Okay. This is where I get my daily exercise because I flip between 2 chairs. It's I'm up and down like a jack in a box. Right. Okay. So that's the next piece on. This time we're going to fold it between row 5 and row 6, and doesn't really need a lot of trim that actually. So that's fine. And then we're using the pink again. That'll be big enough for it. Right. See, that's the piece I've just trimmed off, which should cover that piece okay. So I don't need to use the second one that I've cut. And then next is we're going to fold between 6 and 7 and trim that down to 1/4 inch. And that's all that's come off that, and that was using the one I cut 2 pieces the same, but I've managed to get both of those strips out of one. and it does actually go quite quickly once you get into it. I'm just going to just press that back a bit, make sure it's flat. Okay, so there's that. Now all I've just got to add is the other two corners at the bottom. So we're going to trim those down to 1/4 on both sides. And then, like you did with your other ones, take your fabric piece and lay it on right sides on, and again you just see where that line is of the blue underneath. You're just going to trim that back. And I stuck that on the wrong way. So take that one out, try it again, put it on the right side this time. I get so used to not sewing through the paper that I have to think when I have to do that. Okay, so I'll just give that a quick press back. There's your middle section. You're now just going to trim it down to the edge of your paper. You can use scissors or your rotary cutter, whichever you prefer. Sometimes it's as quick to just whip them off with the scissors. Get rid of me bits there. Right, so that's all them loose cottons everywhere. So that's piece B completed. And now we're just going to do piece C, and then we can join all three pieces together, and then that first block is done. So block C, you've got an extra piece at the bottom. otherwise it's exactly the same as block A. So you're going to add 2 and 3 on either side of those pieces, and I'm using this for my yellow because that's what I'm using on the border, so it makes the lantern stand as though it's standing on the ledge. Okay, that's those 2 are on. Just going to give that a quick press back so that they lay flat before I trim it. Then we're going to fold between the top line and block and row 4 and trim that off to 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to add that little piece on the bottom, and then that is all ready to join together once it's trimmed. Okay, so let's see how we're doing here. Right. Right, okay, get rid of my bits. Right, now we've got all 3 pieces. So take piece A, and that goes onto the top of piece B. If you bring them right sides together, when you line up, the pattern has got little, can you see the little tiny X's at the joints? They are on both sides of the pattern, so it's just a case of lining them up, or just, they should fit perfectly because you've trimmed it all to 6.5, so it should fit perfectly anyway. And you're just going to sew down that 1/4 inch seam line. And then if you take your C piece and add it to the bottom of your other piece, and again stitch it down and join it together. Now this is where we see whether it came out all right. Whoa ho. So there's the lantern. It's a bit short on the bottom, but I don't think that'll matter because I think once it's trimmed it won't be too bad. And then it's just a case of ripping out all these papers and then squaring your block up. I'm not going to do that now. I'll do that off camera later. So now the second way and the third way are both done exactly the same. You can use normal printer paper. Just print your pattern off exactly the same or you can use freezer paper. Now, if you're very clever, you can get your printer to print onto freezer paper. Mine didn't like it, so I've just copied it over the printed one that I've done. And because it's freezer paper, your fabric sticks to the back beautifully, and it means you can use this pattern, this piece of pattern, over and over, because you're not going to stitch through it. So the first piece is A. We're going to take A with 2 white pieces. You're going to trim, fold it back onto those lines like you did before, and trim it to 1/4 inch. It helps if you keep your fold straight when you fold your paper. Sometimes, especially with the freezer paper, if you've got a little bit of card that's got a straight edge, just use that to put it up to your line, because you can then fold your paper, freezer paper, back onto it. I find that quite handy. So now we're going to do exactly the same as we've just done with that other one, but this time, instead of sewing through the paper, what you're going to do is you're going to paste your 2 pieces together, right sides together, and you're going to stitch close to that piece of paper on the edge. And because you've already got 1/4 inch, that's going to be your seam allowance, so you shouldn't hit the paper when you're sewing, because you've already got your seam allowance. And if you do it just a fraction away from that edge, then you won't have any problem with you reusing the papers over and over again. And this is the way I like to do it. So there's part A. Let's move them there a minute. Get me iron. Move all my stuff. Right. And because it's already on the freezer paper, you can iron your other pieces straight flat onto your freezer paper, which keeps them in a perfect position. So now when you go and trim it on your line, you've already got where you should be cutting, because you've got your outer 1/4 inch line. So there's your first piece done. Now you can take that freezer paper off already if you want to, because you don't need it. You're not going to sew through that piece when you do your seam, because you've already got your straight edge for your 1/4 inch seam. So it's just like normal quilting, adding a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that's piece A. And we're just going to do exactly the same as we did with piece B and piece C. Folding your paper back off the freezer paper. Now I managed to get the freezer paper to work about 4 times before it lost its sticky enough for me to reuse it. But I just added a bit of Elmer glue, and it meant I could carry on using it. I'm sorry I'm not watching the chat, guys, but I just hope everybody's following. Right, so I've got my next two pieces ready to go onto the edge. I was doing some piecing yesterday, and I was a piece short. I couldn't find it, and I was looking and looking and looking. I searched all around the top, on the floor, and everywhere. And I said to my husband, I don't know where that piece has gone. I knew I had it. I couldn't find it. I went and sat in the other room for my dinner, and he said, you know that piece of fabric you were looking for? And I went, yeah. And he went, it's on your shoulder. And it must have flung up and it landed on my shoulder. And I hadn't got a clue it was there. It was like, oh no. I was thinking I was going to have to cut another piece, and it was there all along. Stuck to my shoulder. So that's them two bits on. Let's give that a quick You're not supposed to stick your iron onto the freezer paper, you nutcase. So that's a bit wonky. That's a bit of a wonky. Oh, it'll be all right. It's covered in the seam allowance. It'll be fine. So next piece is peel that back a bit and fold on that line there. Add that one. The machine I've got is a Singer Tradition. It's quite old. I've had it probably 8 years. My daughter and son-in-law bought it for me. It was on offer at it's called a shop called Lidl here, and it's a cheapo shop. It was only £79, and she bought one for me and one for her. But it's just basic, but it's got a few stitches on it, fancy stitches, but not many. But yeah, it's a Singer Tradition. I'm afraid I've got a bit of a fetish with sewing machines because I've got about 7. I've got a Singer Tradition, a Singer Starlet, then I've got a New Home, which was the very first sewing machine that I ever had, which I bought when money from my grandfather when he died. I've got a Genome Memory Craft embroidery machine, which even though I've still got it, it doesn't work because the LED thing's gone on it, and I'm so reluctant to throw it away because I just love that machine. And then I've got a Genome, but belongs to my daughter, which she was given, and she said she doesn't use it, so she said, do you want it? So I've got that in the cupboard as well. But they all need a flipping good service. This is the only one that's been serviced in the last 2 or 3 years. But this is the workhorse. It's one I use it all the time, and it's you can tell when a machine's ready to be serviced, can't you? Because it starts to sound like a chug horse. Oh, Melissa, guess what? My great nephew's into wonky donkey. My niece put a thing up on it on Facebook. He loves wonky donkey. Okay, we're nearly there. We're nearly there with piece B, and then we've just got piece C. I love foundation paper, please. Can you tell? What is wonky donkey? Oh, Nancy, you need to look back at our roundup from when we did our Christmas roundup. It's a storybook about a donkey that's only got 3 legs, so he's a wonky donkey, and it goes on, and he's only got 1 eye, and he's a winky wonky donkey, and it's absolutely hilarious. If you look for it on YouTube, there's a Scottish grandma who is trying to read the story to her grandson, and she can't read it for laughing, because she's laughing so much when she's reading it, because it's just absolutely hilarious. Right, 2 more pieces on this, and then I've got cottons everywhere. This is the only thing with foundation paper piece, and I get cottons everywhere. I should see my floor. No, maybe you shouldn't. Trim that bit there. Okay, and 2 of them. Right, piece B is nearly done. I get some great workout going backwards and forwards between chairs every day. Right, okay, let's trim that bit now. Let's give that a trim now we've ironed that down. Okay. So there's piece B ready to go with piece A, and then it's just piece C, and then we can join them together, and then that one's done as well. Okay, 1, 2. Did I actually show you how close I stitched to that line? Can you see it? See the stitch line there next to the edge of the paper? Press them back. Fold that over. Right, trim that one down to 1/4, and then add the last piece, and then join them all together. And then that would be 2 blocks in about an hour. Okay, so I'll press that back. And trim that down. So there you've got piece C, and you're going to take piece B and piece C, peel your freezer paper off the back because you don't need that. You can save that for the next one. And then, as you would just a normal quilt seam, place your pieces together and just stitch 1/4 of an inch down the edge. And take your A and add that to the top, right side together. So there are my pieces out of the way for next time. Just give that a quick press. And the iron off. There's my 6.5 inch block, and as you can see, it fits the block, and then it'll have so that's 2 done. That's the one where we stitch through the papers that need all ripping off, but this one's just ready to go. So there's the block with a border around it with the kimono blocks at the side of it. And so next week I thought we'd have a look at doing the comb. I won't be live because I'll be at the quilt show in Newark, but I will put a video up, and again I'll do it in two stages like we've done this one, sewing through the paper and also using the freezer paper. And oh, there we go, I got a bit wobbly there. Whoops. There we go. So I hope you've understood. Is there any questions now that I've got my phone so that I can see any questions that you might have? My jumper is toasty and warm, but it's my last day for wearing my Christmas jumpers. The quilt show's in Newark, Lynn. It's a Grosvenor show. They have quite a few around the country over the year. Yeah, it's in Newark. Hi, Cheryl. Are you on your way home, Cheryl? That must mean if you're in Louisiana. You must have moved from Texas. So are you on your way home in your camper? Look, I'll show you my quilt, Cheryl. working along. It's yeah, camping in Louisiana till Sunday. Oh, you're going down to Florida? Of course, yeah. Forgot you said that. Thank you, honey. You're biased though. You like all my stuff. Cheryl and I have been friends for a fair few years now, although we've never met. But we have chatted on Messenger live. Yeah, you have to just if you print it at actual size, Tracy, it should print at actual size. If not, I'll email you the pages. Hopefully they'll come out then. I'm hoping to go live every Friday at 2 o'clock, but as I said at the beginning, I won't be live next Friday because I'm going to the quilt show at Newark, and then I won't be live on the 27th because we have a family funeral that we're going to. But hopefully I plan to go live every Friday and work on making this sew along quilt with you, kimono quilt. So we'll be making the comb. I'll put the comb up next week, so it'll be up as showing you how to do it, but it won't be alive. I don't know whether my phone will let me do a live from the show, Cheryl, because it'll depend on what the internet connection's like. However, I do tend to take some short videos and some photos, and I will put them up afterwards. Yeah, the freezer paper way is the way to go, I think, rather than having to rip all the papers out. Thank you, Linda. I think you said your name was, didn't you? Richard's sister. I think you said it was Linda. Tracy, I've just added you as a mod because I actually thought you were a mod, but you're not on there, so I've added you. It's not a very big show. Last year they had probably about 10 bays of quilts up, and then around the edge there's about 15-20 stalls, so it's not very big, but the little quilt shop that is local to me, they're having a stall there, and she's the one that runs all the quilt and craft and knit things that I go to, sew stitch and stuff like that. So I'm hopefully going along to support her. Hello, Vicky. Yeah, so I've been on for about an hour, so I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and learnt something, and if Melissa, have all the links gone in? Do you know? I don't know whether, I'm not sure whether it's even working, to be honest. I don't know why it's not working. It might be because I'm videoing from my iPad and it's not picking up. I don't know. Oh, they have. Lovely. Okay. So it must have worked then. So I want to thank you all for watching. And before we just sign off, are there any other questions about the FPP or the sew along that I'm going to do? Is it something that you're interested in having a go at? It's Colleen's Discord is the but I, oh, did you? Oh yeah, the Winky. You've Nancy's watched Winky Wonky Donkey. That's it. We're all going to be having hysterics now. Yeah, Colleen's the only one that can do the invite. That's what I thought, Tracy. Yeah. There are actually 2 more books in that series, Nancy. One's about his grandma and the other's about his daughter. Right, okay, everybody. Well, thank you all so much. So it's been just over an hour, and we've got 2 blocks done in that time, which is quite a success, I think, to do two blocks in an hour. I do like the freezer paper one. This one's going to be a bit of a pain ripping all the papers out, but you know, it is what it is. So yep, we will. Tracy will catch up on Discord, and thanks to my lovely friend Cheryl for popping in. And I'll be signing off. So thank you all very much and take care. Bye.